had a friend reach out to me recently, and he's a filmmaker. He had this big vision of finding a producer to produce his $2 million film. Most recently, he found that producer, but he was reaching out to me to ask a very important and smart question. Now that he's found the producer, what should he be thinking about to follow up and stay in contact with his producer to make sure the deal goes through? So today, I'm gonna share with you my most effective strategies for following up. And I won't just share from my perspective about mastering the game of follow-up. I'm gonna allow you to hear from two of my clients and what they felt when I followed up with them relentlessly.
He makes it so you can't say no.
I get this email. It's been a year. And he knew exactly what to do.
What that does is it gives you an opportunity to hear from high-level clients so that you're not thinking to yourself, oh, this person doesn't want to work with me, or this person is being annoyed by all the times that I'm following up. No, they value it. And they want to work with you. They want to know that you're the type of person that is going to follow up relentlessly. Real quick example, I want you to see this email from a client, Stephen Georgia. He ended up becoming a client, but it was only after following up with him 4 different times. And look at what he says. I love and appreciate your follow-up with me. I think about it all the time, how people don't follow up enough. They worry they're bothering someone or take a response personally. When the truth is, people just get busy, and while they mean to respond, shit slips through the cracks. For the last 18 years, I've been running a video production company, producing documentaries for entrepreneurs. And these are documentaries that are for high-level entrepreneurs, so entrepreneurs who are running 7- and 8-figure businesses. Mastering the game of follow-up is critical because these are 6-figure deals, and most recently, I got to pitch my first $1 million project because of mastering the game of follow-up. Now, what I'm laying out for you in this conversation is not just about your regular follow-up system. So you might have an email sequence that follows up with clients every week, or you might have a system where you're sending a text message or you're making calls every week. That's not what I'm talking about. If you're working on a big deal and that deal is important to you, that deal is gonna require a follow-up that is a personal touch. So first, let's break down what a big deal is. So a big deal for me would definitely be a 6-figure project or a 7-figure project. A big deal for you might be, let's just say you normally charge $5,000, but with this deal, you know you're going to charge $20,000 as the first offer. Now that's a 4X. That's life-changing. That's not something to just say, oh, I'm not gonna follow up with the client because they're not reaching back out to me, right? So that's what I mean by big deal. When it comes to this specific follow-up process that I'm talking about, I don't do this with every project. If I know it's a project that's a big deal and it's a client I really wanna work with, then I will incorporate a personal touch. So let's talk about the first thing about when it comes to mastering the game of follow-up. What's at stake? Another way to think about this is what's the cost of not following up? What's at stake is not just the money. What's at stake is what the money can do for you. Another way to think about what's at stake is what is the lifetime value of the client? What does that mean? Lifetime value. Lifetime value is not just the deal or the contract that they will do with you the first time. It's how long they decide to work with you and stay working with you on different projects. So for example, let's just say you're a photographer and the first deal they might do with you is $5,000. But if that person continues to hire you once a quarter, that deal is really worth $20,000, at least for the first year. Now, if they decide to work with you for 3 years once a quarter, that deal is worth $60,000. So what's at stake is not just the $5,000 you might do on the front end, it's the $60,000 that you will do over 3 years. Finally, if we go a little bit deeper, just a little bit deeper, what's at stake if you don't go after this project? If you don't follow up with a client, are you really gonna spend another year in this house that you know you've outgrown? Like, that's what's at stake. Are you really going to tell your child, your daughter, or your son no because of something that they may want to do or something that they may want to be a part of, but you can't afford it? That's what's really at stake if you don't follow up. So it's important to really think about, to really sit with what's at stake if I don't follow up with this client. It's important because you want to have on the right set of lenses. There's a difference between vision and perspective. We are all born with a set of eyes, right? And for the most part, all of us can see out of those eyes, but you won't be able to read words that are coming across your screen without the right set of lenses. So for example, I wear glasses. I wear glasses because I can't see far away. So without these right set of lenses, I may not be able to see the road signs that are on the street. And so in the same way, you want to have the right perspective when it comes to following up with potential clients. So what's at stake if you don't follow up? What's the cost of not following up? The second thing to think about when mastering the game of follow-up, find creative ways to follow up. It's not just following up to say, hey, haven't heard from you in a while. Are you ready to work together? No. You want to find creative ways that are meaningful. Let's break this down even further. What are some creative ways that you can follow up with a client? Number one, show your work. Show that you are not just thinking about this project, but that you have a vision for this project. For example, what I've done before for certain projects, not everyone, I'm gonna remind you, I don't follow up with every client in this way, but sometimes I'll do a vision board in advance and I'll show them, hey, this is what I'm thinking about actually bringing your story to life. You can do the same thing if you're an interior designer, putting a mood board together, or if you're a photographer, putting a mood board together, showing like your vision for the project. What I like to think about is, what is the dramatic demonstration that you are the only person for this project? And what I mean by dramatic demonstration is, what are the visual, tangible things that your client or potential client can see that shows them the true vision of this project? I can talk to you all day long about what a project can look like, but if I show it to you, if I share the vision with you and allow for you to see it for yourself, then that persuades you that you're making the right decision for yourself, not just that you're making the right decision and working with me. There's this client that I followed up with for a full year. I found different creative ways to follow up with him, but the last time that I followed up with him, it was an email that I sent, and the subject line was 1 year later. And in that email, I said to them, hey, just recently finished up this project. I wanted to share it with you. I laid out the vision of what that project actually was, but it was the last line, or close to the last line of the email, that I said to her, as you watch this, I want you to think to yourself, why aren't you the one sitting in this seat? What you'll notice is that I created the vision for her. I didn't just send her the email and say, hey, take a look at my project. Just left it up to her to come to the conclusion that, why aren't you sitting in this seat? I guided her and directed her towards that idea. Why aren't you the one sitting in this seat? And it's possible she would have came to that conclusion on her own, but instead I guided her to, this could be you. Don't just take my word for it. I want you to hear from this actual client, because she ended up becoming a client after this, and she talked about that experience. I want you to hear it from her, how she describes why she decided to work with me and what it made her feel, me following up with her.
The reason why Jude is here, he and I met in September of 2008, right?
2018.
Yeah, 2018, right? At Andy Enriquez's Master Storyteller Academy. Jude also is the video brand strategist for Andy. And we connected like right away. And we had lunch together, and he told me that I inspired him. And I was like, oh, okay, awesome. And then we had a conversation about working together, and he came to Delaware, and we did a road mapping session, which is like the equivalent of a VIP day, which was awesome. And then he presented me with the option to hire him, and it was way too much money. And in fear, can I keep it real? I was like, nah, I can't do this. I can't do this. Yeah, no, there's no way I can do this. And we like went back and forth for like, what, 2 or 3 times. And then eventually he was like, you know what? Let's touch base in 6 months, because she's playing. He didn't say any of that to me, but I know that's what he felt, because I was in fear. I had never made that level of an investment in myself at one time. And the thought of doing that, even though I needed it, because I say all the time, when the fear shows up, that's how you know you're on the verge of your next level. Well, I was feeling it. So I knew I needed him, but I was not willing to do what it would take in order to hire him. And so we didn't work together all last year, and probably delayed my results at least a year, right? And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I write in my journal, what does playing big look like? And you guys know I active journal, so I write the question and then I wait until God gives me an answer, and then I just start writing that down. And so I'm writing down, like, and I didn't write Jude's name specifically, but what I wrote down was exposure. Like, more people need to know who I am. And not because they need to know who Darnell is, but because of who Darnell is and what she does and what she brings to the table for people. And so I wrote that down, and then the next day, I get this email. It's been a year. And he knew exactly what to do. So he sends me a piece of a documentary that he just finished with a powerful Black woman who's at the point of reinvention, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, and I was gonna call him anyway, but that just further cemented, okay, I need to stop playing. And what did I say to you? I said, I don't care how much it costs, just tell me. I will figure it out, we have to do it. And so, you know, this is also my year of next level everything. Everything's going higher, and I'm no longer afraid to be who I am. Like, I finally get it. I finally realize that I'm not a business coach, that's just what I do. And so he's here to document. He's gonna be following me around. We're doing what he calls a dramatic demonstration of proof, because you guys know, because you experience me on a regular basis and you know how powerful it is, but I can't translate that into copy on my website. And so he's capturing all of that so that we can leverage it in order to get it out to the people who need to see it, so that we can increase exposure and ultimately, you know, shift and change and all of that.
Come up with creative ways to follow up, whether it's sharing the vision, whether it is sharing a case study, whether it is just showing the value that you bring to the clients that you work with. And I would highly recommend this book, Dramatic Demonstration. It is a book that I wrote about how to attract premium clients and scale your business. Dramatic Demonstration will give you the tools to stand out, close deals, and grow your business to the next level. I highly, highly recommend the audiobook. And as a matter of fact, I'm not just gonna recommend it to you, I'm gonna have you listen to Danny Green, a filmmaker who recently purchased the audiobook, and in one weekend, he listened to it twice, because that's how powerful it was.
This book has helped unlock a new level of belief in what's possible and how to unlock more value for my clients. Part of why I've been able to re-listen to that book is because like audiobooks should sound like a presentation, or they should sound like I don't know, a seminar, rather than this like dry. And so having the music in there is beautiful. It just like keeps engaging, and the way you break it up, that's part of why it's so easily repeatable.
Dramatic Demonstration. Jude Charles. Wow. 60 pages in, and I pull out a notebook and a pen that happened to come with the book. And I'm taking notes through the lens that Jude goes through of storytelling and being able to answer these questions. That's how I'm thinking about my answers as I'm writing down. I took pages and pages and pages of notes. And of course, he says, start with why. And do you consider this work your calling or purpose? Yes or why? And what gets you out of bed every morning? And why aren't you satisfied with where you are now? What do you desire? What Jude helped me do was see these questions through the lens of storytelling, and how storytelling, even though I'm still new to it, has really been part of my entire journey. But now that I'm highlighting it, or maybe focusing on it, how I can maybe dial into what it is that matters most to me, but yet connect it to storytelling. So the book has been incredible. In fact, I got to meet Jude, and just his intentionality and the way that he was even asking questions and how we were getting to know each other, honestly, just out of the world.
All right, so what's the next thing to think about when mastering the game of follow-up? Recruiting advocates or influencers who will also help you follow up. Okay, what does that mean? That means find people that work with your client. So whether it is one of their employees, or whether it is their marketing person, or whether it is their right-hand assistant, find someone else that you can stay in contact with. So the moment that you don't hear back from the client, maybe you've emailed 3 times or you've called 3 times and you haven't heard back from the client, you could reach out to that person and say, hey, I tried reaching out to the client, but I haven't heard from them. This is a person that's an advocate. They're an influencer. They influence your client because they're with them day to day. But they're an advocate because they want to see the project come to life as well. They believe in the work that you're doing. They're a fan of the work that you're doing, and they want to see the project come to life. So you want to recruit other people. You want to recruit advocates that will help. And what this also shows to your client, if their employee is in their ear about you, then you must really be somebody important to work with. Like, it really influences them to want to work with you. The $1 million project that I talked about earlier that I pitched for recently, how I was able to get the meeting. It took 10 months to get the meeting with the CEO, but originally the person that I met was the business development person. And so I followed up with that person for 10 months, finding creative ways to follow up with him. At first, I did a pitch video, a 5-minute pitch video, just sharing my vision of the project. And then there were other creative ways that I came up with that continued to follow up with him, if not every other week, every week, to the point that he said, I think it was after 6 months, he said to me, man, you're doing such a great job of following up. I'm sorry I can't get this meeting to happen for you, but I have to make this meeting happen for you now. And so what he did next was he went to the CEO and he told him, hey, you haven't really given me an answer about meeting up with Jude. I want you to take the next 30 days. Either tell me yes or no, you're going to meet with Jude, but give me an answer. Because if you don't, I'm gonna just send him to our competitor. So he was now an advocate to the point that he was advocating for me to his CEO to say, hey, we gotta make this happen. Like, Jude keeps following up and I don't have an answer for him. So again, find an advocate, a person that is an influencer to your client, whether it's their assistant, their CMO, CFO, someone who's going to say, hey, you should be working with this person on this. You have this deep desire to play a different game, to play a game that no one else is playing, to be able to have a profitable business, to be able to take vacation when you want to take vacation, to be able to take time off, even if it's not a vacation. What that requires is a relentless attitude. I want to show you a video of Dr. Tracy Lynn behind the scenes. She is in a meeting with her social media manager and her VP of operations, and they're discussing a launch that's getting ready to come up. But in discussing this launch, the social media manager asks Dr. Lynn, hey, how can we make this easier for me to work with you? And I want you to hear and pay attention to Dr. Lynn's response. It wasn't something that I was expecting, but she used the way that I follow up with her as an example as to what Suzette should be doing. And as you watch this, I want you to think about it from this perspective. Which entrepreneur are you? Are you the one that is complaining or saying, hey, this should be a lot easier? Or are you the one that's relentless?
You got to get back in Harold's face about coming up and getting the videos that you used to get. Because I'm not getting people telling me, oh, I live for your stuff. And that's what they used to tell me. Oh, I love it when I was live, so I'm not getting any of that.
When are you done with school? I know you almost finished with...
By the end of this month.
Okay.
Yeah, but you don't have to wait for that. Let me tell you one thing though.
You're in the office?
I'm in the,
Okay.
let me tell you. The one thing about, for example, I learned about my own schedule is that I do have room. Perfect example is Jude. Jude will harass you. I'm sorry, Jude, if you're listening. He will harass you to get in because he's on he has a job to do. He's gonna make it so if you don't, because we have a contract for like 6 months. Right. His job is this. If you cancel him, it is not gonna be because he didn't do his job. He is going to force his way in. I see him every week, twice a week. He's here today and tomorrow, all day. So, and I'm like, I can't do this, Jude, I'm busy. I was Monday, I don't let nobody in on Monday. He had me in the meeting, I was sleeping while the meeting was going on. And he was like, I was wondering why your energy dropped down to 0. But he had to get some shots, so he was able to take something. So when you have that kind of contract, you never let it be you. Why people...
Right, but what I'm trying to avoid, just honestly across the board, is having to send many emails to
Listen
get
to
on
me.
your
Listen.
schedule.
He doesn't send me the emails, because Harold, when I said, that must be Jude. Oh, it's Jude. He gonna force, he's coming. He makes it so you can't say no, because you're gonna get your money's worth. He gonna make sure you get your money's worth. You understand? He forces his way in that door. And then when he's here, you forget he's here. But it doesn't matter. And I'll say, Jude, I don't have nothing going on. Something might pop up. I just want to be there just in case. And in my mind, I'm like, no, I'm too busy. He doesn't care. He's going to get on that schedule because he's got a 6-month contract. He don't want me to cancel that. And it took him a long time for me to say yes. So now I get it. I get why people keep him for 6 months, because it ain't going to be him if you cancel it. Now your little dollars is funny, but you're going to, guess what? I'm going to cancel everybody else, but I'm going to keep him. He's forcing me to keep it. You know, even at the house, I mean, he's relentless. I got to prepare. I told you, that's one thing I don't want to do. But now Tiff's going to get me some help. I got to do it.
I got you an hour of help.
See?
Do you want it?
For today? Not for today. No, I'm too busy today.
See what I mean?
Give me an hour help tomorrow. I'll take it.
He wants to shoot you tomorrow morning.
At my house?
Yes.
No, that ain't happening.
See what I mean? I get you to help and you don't want
See,
it.
but you see my point. Everybody gets involved.
Right.
Because
what I would really appreciate, I'm being honest, what I would really appreciate is that the process is a little bit simpler, because if I have to keep on emailing Harold, that creates more work for me. I mean, we're all on the same team. So if there is a way to make that process a little bit more simplified, because this is what has happened in the past. It takes me 30 days to get on your calendar.
But at the end of the day, it's your contract. So It may be more difficult. Now, the thing is, it took you 4 weeks, 6 weeks to get on this contract. This man is in my office twice a week because they can't, he refuses to be denied. And it may take more effort, but when they know you're relentless, because they know that he's relentless, I need 2 days for Jude. I don't have 2 days. Well, he's coming. What 2 days is it going to be? Once you get to that stage, you don't have to go through that anymore. And you won't have to go through that now, but even for you, outside of me, because I'm always telling you for you, because I love you,
Right.
it may be that. You might have to, but you be the relentless one. To the point that if anybody ever thinking about not paying you, it ain't gonna be because you weren't there.
Right.
It's always put it on the people. It ain't never because you weren't there and your stats are going down because it's a hassle getting through. You want that check, these are the hassles we go through. Nobody's gonna streamline that process for you. And then in your future meetings with your clients, you never tell them it's gotta be easy.
Okay.
That ain't your part.
Okay.
You don't, if it is hard, you make it easy. Force your way in because they're paying you to do it. They don't want to pay you for you to tell them how you can't get in here if you want them to keep paying you, right? You teach people how they should treat you. You teach it. You in the driver's seat. Always remember that. You were in the driver's seat. Demand it from me. And I'm learning that from Jude. He demands that of me.
I'm not sure where I learned the idea of not taking no for an answer or being relentless, but to hear from Dr. Lynn and how she views me demanding from her, how she views that as a value, ultimately that's what Dr. Lynn is paying me for. She's paying me to execute and to do my job, and she's glad to pay me to do it. When you show up differently, you get treated differently. If you're willing to be relentless, you get paid really well for it. So are you relentless?